So I definitely fought off the adenovirus demon. Why do I call it the adenovirus demon? Because somebody was saying that was the common virus that is circulating around and people are reacting to it, reacting from it. And I felt some crazy frequency shift, and it caused, yes, an infection not only on the back of my neck, that's like a hump, but I felt my body just blowing up, like literally blowing up. And I felt like I weighed 1,000 pounds. And so the adenovirus is an obesity virus. It's a algorithm of bacteria that hijacks the hormones of retention and release, and you retain more than you release. And if you do release, it's painful. And so that's why people are really obese in our society, because they are harboring viruses and bacteria with those algorithms. And it hijacked their hormones, and it causes them to retain and have an issue with release. And so, people have been set up to fail when they practice a closed immune system. So the last couple of days, I have been fighting this virus off. I've been blowing my nose, eating, resting. I've been just then releasing, like data dumping. And that's why Facebook put me on a 24-hour timeout. Not because of what I'm saying, because I was posting so much. It was as if I was possessed by an intellectual demon, but really that demon was working through my intentions. Okay. That's why you're going to see a lot of craziness out there, because all these energy shifts and all these so-called demons flying around, the energy that is so palpable that you can cut it with a knife. People have specific intentions. Just look on their Facebook. They have specific intentions, and the energy demons then activate and accelerate people's intentions. And so that's why people do stupid things when not only are they under the influence, but also the environment makes them under the influence. Because I was feeling the last few days heart palpitations, like literal heart palpitations, so much sweating, like literally, like not like I'm sweating like it's wet on my bed, but I feel the heat to the point of where either it's so hot in the house and it's 69 degrees, maybe it's 90 degrees outside. Would that make it so hot because it's so hot outside? Would I have to put my thermostat lower because relative temperature is a little bit different outside versus inside and all that? I couldn't tell you. I was struggling with that, trying to fight with the thermostat, thinking that it's so cold, but it's like 70 degrees and it I don't know how would I have my thermostat set for 69 that shows 70, but I guess that was that cusp of when the thermostat kicks on. But I don't know. But the last few days I've been fighting the thermostat. I've been fighting my own thermostat. But I don't even want to say fighting, because that means that I'm trying to resist something. No, I've been trying to assimilate to the environment, to the frequencies, and to the food supply, and make these connections that even are so much more simpler than all the things that I put in between. Because you've seen me, when Facebook put me on a timeout, you're supposed to have up to only 25 or less posts within a 24-hour period. And what was I doing? I was data dumping, data dumping, data dumping. And it was like post after post after post after post, editing comments, editing comments, editing posts. I'd make a post, I would edit it. And I'm like, no, I need to add more to it. Edit it again. And it was just like I was possessed by a demon. But that demon was activating my intentions. Okay? But I couldn't let that demon stay in the body to keep activating me so much to work me to death. That's the issue with people right now, is they are working themselves to death, whether it's in the activism world, the resistance world, their job, their hormones, whatever hormones at the surface that are predominant, that their dominant characteristic, it is so there at the surface. And people are destroying themselves with their hormones because they're not allowing the release process. And they're exhausted, but people can't seem to give themselves a break. They don't want to evolve. They don't want to change the way they do things. And this is why you're seeing people die suddenly. Because they're dying, suddenly from heart attacks and strokes because of exhaustion. also. All right, so let me read this. People are fucking tired. They are fucking exhausted. Your friends and your family are tired and they're exhausted, but they love you so much, they will do anything, even sacrifice their body for you. They will sacrifice their mind, their life for you. That's what friends and family are doing to their friends and family. They are forcing them to perform. That's what fucking sucks. That's what's crazy. That's the realization the last few days. That's how the system has able to get on people for 6,000 years. They put so much emphasis on the family, on friends, associations, common interests, groupthink. And then you sacrifice yourself for the groupthink, the activism, finding a demon, finding an enemy. And then it's the intolerances. And then when you have a food intolerance, I don't care what it is, then you get treated for it because you have symptoms that are mischaracterized. And then you get treated, whether it's an herb or an extract or a detox or an oncology or a surgery, and then you have more food intolerance. And so you take away more food, and then whatever happens, then you get treated for it. And then it causes another intolerance until that person cannot handle any more treatments. They can't even eat any food because it's too fucking painful. And now they're in palliative care and hospice after so many countless treatments in the medical system and in the holistic system. That's the destruction of mankind. And so now I have to turn it back to the physicians and the nurses, but really the physicians and Rockefeller medicine, because the holistic industry is going to keep developing people with food allergies, because once people get tired of the medical system, they're going to go right to the holistic system, and people are going to be using food as medicine, weaponizing food against them, so that way they can't tolerate food. And then right now, we are coming back full circle. We have to go back to the fucking medical system and ask them to please wean us back onto life, not wean us off of life with the oncology, the treatments, and all the therapies, but now you need to train people to deal with all food. Because take away people's salt, low sodium diets, low sugar diets, gluten-free diets, lactose-free diets. It's all food intolerances. And it was developed by the medical system. And then it bled over to the holistic system. Okay? And so just so you know, again, low sodium diets is a food intolerance. And they are sustained by parents. They are sustained by the medical, holistic, energy healing world. They're sustained by everybody. People subscribe to not only starving their friends and family and their kids, but also allow the system to keep making them intolerant to their environment, to the food supply, and of course, allowing people to be radicalized against differences in food because they can't explain their symptoms. They don't know where it comes from. So what's the first thing they blame? It's the food. They blame the water and they blame the air. And so when someone is now relegated to only eating air fucking sandwiches and they don't eat anything because they can't, because it's too painful, look what you produced. Go look in the nursing homes. Go look in palliative care and hospice. Look at the fucking suffering with animals when we're giving them antibiotics and taking food away from them. You look at the children who are suffering under 18 years of dictatorship under parents who don't know any better. Look at the elderly under the thumb of their children who want not only their estate, but also don't want to deal with their deterioration process. Look at marriages deteriorating from the lack of evolution. That's the crux of all failures in every relationship, whether it's a protein relationship or a relationship of marriage, is people lack the evolution. They want too much, expect too much, and they can't fucking evolve. Or they give so much of themselves because they want to look like a good person, they sacrifice themselves for somebody else to the detriment of their own body, mind, and spirit and longevity, because they were told you are now supposed to give up your body and your mind and spirit to your husband, your wife, your friends, your family, your job, everybody. Everybody deserves everything from you, but you don't deserve shit for yourself. That's what the system has taught you. That's what politics have taught you. That's what religion has taught you. And that's what the science dogmas have taught you. And so people are tired. They are fucking exhausted. They are so tired of keeping up with their friends and family. But you'll never hear them say anything because they don't want to look like the bad guy. So I speak for everybody. And even if I don't speak for you, so to speak, you are exhibiting exactly what I'm talking about, because you keep spinning your wheels, and you ain't doing anything different. You are deteriorating. You are aging out. You are food intolerant. You are dealing with some kind of disease, whether it's with a holistic remedy or with an allopathic surgical procedure. People need to take a break, but their addictions to money, fame, power, and belief systems is what will cause them to die from exhaustion, starvation, and running themselves to death. Lack of evolution is why people die and why there's 50% divorce rate. If you want a marriage to survive, if you want people to survive, one person or both must evolve. If you can't handle somebody not evolving, if you can't handle somebody evolving, who is right and who is wrong? Well, maybe you are set up to fail. Maybe you're supposed to evolve. You're supposed to change. You're supposed to mature. Deterioration destroys everything. You don't have to let it. But people do because they don't understand it. So you see why marriages fail, because one person is deteriorating so much, the other person can't handle the deterioration process. Even the medications won't work. You can't reason with people who are deteriorating because they don't have everything there to be able to be reasoned with. And so people are also in danger when they're with people who are deteriorating to such an extent. That's the fucked up thing about all of it, is that you hope that someone's deterioration process isn't so destructive to you that forces you to walk away. That's what sucks. Okay? So deterioration destroys everything, but you don't have to let it. The death curse, it starts in the words, then it's the actions, then it's the intended outcome. The one who casts a spell can break the curse. And they'll tell you how to break the curse, because they'll reverse everything they're saying. They won't say life is short, play hard. They'll say life is long. Relax a little bit. Take a fucking break. Stay home for once in a while. You don't have to go out to that bar that weekend. You don't have to go and socialize so much. But it starts in the words, then it ends up in the actions, and then there's an intended outcome. And so then I narrowed everything down the last few days. I mean, you saw how many postings I posted. All right. Food allergies causes treatments. Treatments causes food allergies. That's the deadly loop of deterioration and destruction in humanity. And you're doing it with your friends, your family, your activism groups, and every single mommy and me group and everything that people are resisting. And so now I also want to give you more proof of how the system is also starving the elderly people. So, 8 ways to make better food choices for older adults. The foods the elderly should eat are the foods the system is taking away from the elderly. And so they're saying the elderly should not have unpasteurized milk and dairy products, fried foods, high sodium foods, and certain raw produce are among the foods to avoid or limit at any age. You see the system actively causing a food intolerance? That's low sodium diets is not only acknowledging, but sustaining and developing food intolerances in people. You need salt. Do you need so much of it? Do you need so little bit? Who's the one to say? And then what's that barometer? Oh, you get a reaction. What is that reaction? Well, the salt isn't fucking poison. The food isn't poison. And so maybe you have to release some demons. Maybe you have to bring on the substance because you're salting in and they're salting out. We salted out in the beginning and then we got off the J juice and we salted our food and we salted in. So we released the demons in the beginning of the J world and then we brought the food back into our world. All food, even milk, meat, cheese, eggs, fruits, and vegetables. Not so much to the fruits and vegetables, but more of the milk and the meat and the cheese and the eggs for the collagen. And so we're salting in and giving substance to ourselves so we can handle these fucking frequencies. When I was so skinny way back when, and you saw my Facebook reels how skinny I was, after I then got off the J world, the J juice, I salted in the food, gave myself the weight and the substance so I can handle these climate changes. And so yesterday, the last few days, I've been dealing with itchies. You call it urticaria. It's a kind of hive type of symptom. It's not bad. It just shows that it's through the system. It's systemic. It's the body pushing the bacteria and the excess growth from the climate change throughout the lymphatic system. And then you have to either let it leach out through your armpits, like your lymph nodes, or through all the different orifices. Even my head was itching. I had to release the demons, and I had to rest. And guess what? Today I feel like I'm pounds skinnier. I don't feel so bloated. I don't feel so huge. But that's the adenovirus. That's the spirit afflicting me on some level. And if I didn't release those demons, it would cause then major obesity. And that's what you're seeing in the population as they're getting bigger and bigger when they trap those types of spirits inside their body. Why do I call them spirits? Because they're energy. They're energy with intention. And they try to monopolize the system, and they do when people let it. And they let the medical system and the holistic system, they let the medical holistic system allows the spirits to commandeer and monopolize the system. And they take away your power. Because then the holistic system treats every single energetic energy that comes in the body and goes out the body by deadening your body's ability to release and feel. And then eventually you have to give a person in the holistic system back to the medical system, because even the holistic remedies don't work. And then you have to be sitting in palliative care under hospice because even the holistic system doesn't work anymore. But then they give them, well, when cannabis doesn't work anymore, then you give somebody morphine, if that even works anymore. I don't know. I don't sit around in hospice places and see what people do at the end of their life. I try to avoid all those reels on Facebook. Whew, I'm hot. And so the foods the elderly should eat if they want to survive are all the foods that the system is taking away from them. And the system is scaring you into food intolerance, scaring you into food allergies, sustaining food allergies. That's why you're seeing skinny girls out there, really skinny girls, and they have skinny kids. Do you know the laws of thermodynamics will not allow them to survive? Because the system or the environment is so accelerated that when someone is that skinny, they won't have the substance to deal with energy conversion, because you can't get away from energy conversion. It's in your environment. It's in your house. Even if you turn off all your Wi-Fi, you're still subject to your community. You're still subject to all of the particle acceleration, the climate change. Right now, people are suffering in California, in Texas, in the South. When the electricity goes off, they have no AC. And so they're subject to very aggressive conditions. And the heat is particle acceleration. And when you're skinny, you won't have enough substance to deal with that. That's what people are dealing with. And when you're so obese, if you're not releasing, then you will continue to become increasingly larger because you're not releasing. And that's the curse that people have cast on themselves, their children, their friends, and their family, because they don't want to deal with release and the pain of retention, the pain of release relative to where you are. That's the suffering of humanity, is that people are not allowing each other to evolve. They're trying to stop their evolution, trying to tell them that the only way to live is to be pain-free and never suffer and never change anything, never change your argument, never change your lifestyle, never change your belief system, and always run yourself to death for somebody else. That's why people are not surviving, because of their duty to their friends and family who will not give them a break, who will find every way to make them work for them. And then I say, I'm not accountable to anyone except for my husband. And even then, we both are accountable to ourselves. But I am not going to hurt myself for somebody else. I am not going to run myself to death for somebody else, for a group, for a person, place, or thing. I have my boundaries of survival. Every person needs to figure out if they're worth it to live and worth it to evolve. And if they're not, they will give themselves up to their friends as a sacrifice, a literal human sacrifice to their friends, their family, on Facebook, in their community. They will be the sacrificial lamb, and everyone will praise them for it. That's why it's so hard to get people to change, because they are addicted to not only the substance, the drugs and the alcohol and the sex, but they're addicted to social capital. They're addicted to validation. They're addicted to everyone worshiping them and bowing down to them. That's the trap people are in. It's not like, oh, the hatred. Let me tell you, hatred is easy to run away from. Okay, that's easy because that's easy. That's in your face. It's the love and the adoration and the worship that's so hard to run away from. That's where people get trapped. And that's so sad. Children are trapped in that because the amount of love their mother gives to them, that destroys them. Husbands and wives kind of fall into that because of what they were taught and trained as a kid and on the movies and in all the different mediums. People are trapped in the love and the worship. That's why I don't subscribe to politics, religion, or science, dogmas, because that's a trap. So now people are malnourished because they have been scared away from food and they've been allowed and told to embrace food intolerances and food allergies. And low sodium diets is a food allergy. Okay? It may not be technically as written in the system, but really it is actually technically a food allergy, because the reason why you're on a low sodium diet, because you don't want to feel the energetic immunological response of release. No different than when you eat an apple and you get hives. You're like, oh God, now I'm allergic to apples. Apple is poison. You see these mothers who eat a mainstream apple, right, or genetically modified, and it has extra elements that will help that child survive. And the kid develops a reaction. It's not a bad thing, but develop a reaction the body has to release because it's nutrients the body was missing. And the mother thinks that apple was poison. And so she goes back to the organic portion where it doesn't have as many nutrients. And so the kid's like all happy. There are no symptoms, but that kid is now not conditioned to deal with an environment that changes. That's what mothers do to their kids. They make them weak. They make them weak around food. They make them weak around the environment. They make them weak around everything. That's the destruction of mothers to daughters and mothers to sons, fathers to daughters and fathers to sons. And so now you're so malnourished, you won't survive evolution, but you've never expected to anyways, right? The health and wellness field, energy, healing, holistic, allopathic, develop food allergies in people, even the plastic surgeons. Now it's up to them to reverse the whole situation. They made the fucking mess. Now you live the mess you live in right now. It's up to them to clean it up. And so I have to learn how to play the game, right? You can't change a system outside the system. That's what we thought in the activist world way in the beginning, actually way when I was an independent and we were against the Democrats and Republicans way back in 2003, 2002, when it was those elections. Okay? Yeah, it was right at those elections. And you had to realize there had to be a business model to work from, right? Because the independents were like, yeah, we got to be independent from the Democrat, Republican. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? What model are you working from? Or are you just taking the same model and calling it something different? Right? That's what people do, is they think, oh yeah, I'm different, so I'll take the same thing and just call it something different, slap a different label on it. Yeah, okay. People who are discerning can see through that bullshit. So then when you work within the system, you got to realize what the system is intending. But it's not just straight do the opposite of what the system is doing. No, because that also can work against you if you understand the system works both sides of the fence. So then you have to take it even a step further than doing the opposite of what the doctors do, than doing the opposite of what the politicians say, which is what the conspiracy activism world says. Oh yeah, if a doctor says this and a politician says this and the World Economic Forum says this and WHO says this, then do the complete opposite and that's how you're going to be a great and survive in this. So I'm bull fucking shit. No. Now you have to understand the intentions. Now you have to understand immortality, understand longevity, and not dying from natural causes. But do you think anyone in the activism world, in the energy healing world, in the holistic world even think about that? No, because they're too afraid to die, but expect to die anyways. That's where people get caught in the loop. And then they look stupid because what are you afraid of is something that you expected to do anyways, right? And so now you're so malnourished, you won't survive evolution, but you never expected to anyways. You just wanted to blame somebody or worship somebody, okay? The health and wellness field, energy healing, holistic, allopathic, develop food allergies in people, even plastic surgeons. Now it's up to them to reverse the whole situation. They made the fucking mess. we are living in right now. It's up to them to clean it up. But you know they won't, because there's too much money in making you allergic to your environment than helping you adapt. And then you take your body, your mind, and spirit, and your bank, and then they take your body, your mind, and your spirit, and your bank account on your way out the door. And they help corporations take your money and your children and your family, all with your permission. And so it's going to take the people to say, hey, Dr. Smith, hey, Dr. Jones, hey, doctor this, hey, nurse this, I want to now eat the salt. I want to add more salt to my diet. I want to add the sugar to my diet that you told me to stay away from. But, oh my God, you're going to get this and this. Well, the reason why you're getting this and this is because you have a closed system. And so now you tell your doctor, well, now I want to be able to open up my system. Well, and here's this book, because the doctor's not going to know. They're like, what do you mean, get an operation? What do you mean by that? Have a machine stuck in you to open you up? Like those things in the gynecologist where they just go, they basically jack your vagina out open? No. This is where you introduce my book to your doctors. This is where my book is going to be instrumental in you saving yourself. That you're not taking your own life in your hands and medicine in your hands. You're not trying to treat yourself. But this book tells you exactly what I did. Okay? And you don't need machines. I mean, I guess you could use a machine to help you poop for a minute. Because people do use like enemas and stuff, right? I don't know what to call a machine, but like objects to run water through their system. But you can't rely on enemas. You have to be now the one to be able to open up your system without using an object or a contraption. But this is what you introduce to the doctors. You want to feel the pain. You want to know you want to have every test to see what kind of predisposed issues you have so you know what you're up against. And that you feed your body, because nothing in the food supply is poison. Milk is not poison, meat is not poison, fat is not poison, collagen is not poison, tomatoes are not poison. Gluten is not poison. But you're seeing people are demonizing food because they've allowed their doctors to sustain the food intolerances and the food allergies. But you know, if someone is that compromised, when they're that intolerant, with that many food intolerances and that many food allergies, same thing. They have to do it slowly. And so yeah, the Cleveland Clinic can kind of help people with the peanut allergies, but that's one out of probably thousands and thousands and thousands of other food intolerances and allergies and symptoms. Now I want the doctors to be like, hey, yeah, now you can add more salt to your diet, even more so than before. And if you feel stuff, don't be alarmed. When a doctor says you should be alarmed about this, this, and that, and if they don't tell you why you should be alarmed, because you are malnourished, you have a very thin artery wall, you are way behind the 8 ball. But see, when you have a strong heart and you're feeling heart palpitations because you're adding more salt to your diet and the frequencies, what do these doctors do? They prescribe you certain types of medications to lower your blood pressure so you don't feel the heart palpitations. You know the reason why I am strong today is because I dealt with every single heart palpitation. And even if I had a heart condition, it would have to be something that you transition. But that's where you would bring in a doctor to help you transition and deal with all the symptoms without scaring you that you're going to die. That if, as long as you're eating food and you're releasing the way I say it in here, and you tell your doctor, you show them that chapter in here on how I fucking did it, and they'll be like, oh my God. Well, because you know how snooty doctors are, you know how snooty nurses are. Oh, you can't tell them because they have a fucking degree. That's where you're going to have an issue with these doctors and nurses, because they know better than everybody else. You can't tell them. They're fucking God in their world. This is where then those that can handle not having to rely on a doctor or a nurse because they don't have many predisposed issues, they can handle this. Those that have to be under a doctor's care or nurse's care, then they got to go beg them to help you survive. That's a fucked up position to be in, where you have to beg a doctor and a nurse to help you survive, to win you back on life. And so then let me read. I'm not going to read it. I mean, I could read everything. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Let me see. If you've been under a doctor's care, you paid for them to wean you off of life. Like you paid them to traumatize your body, your mind, and your spirit. You paid them to surgically go and do something to you. You pay them to disfigure you. That's the kicker that people don't realize. That's what's going to cause even more suffering later when all the conditions are right. But people don't want to think about that. They think, oh yeah, this operation, this procedure is going to save my life. No, it's not. It's actually taking away your life and to cause you to suffer more when the body wants to become whole again and you're on your last legs and now you're feeling the body trying to move the damage out, but you won't let it. And so that's when people are turning to morphine and stronger drugs because they can't handle the fucking pain because of what they did in the medical system. And so you've been under a doctor's care. You paid for them to wean you off of life. If you have the presence of mind now, it's time that they pay you to wean. It's time they pay you to wean you back onto life, or pay whatever fees they will charge you to reverse everything they did to you, because they're the one that did the curses. Ursula cursed little Ariel. She told her how to break the curse. True love's kiss, right? Well, it's going to take the fucking doctor to break the curse. When they say, oh yeah, well, you don't have to be on these antibiotics and we're not going to do a surgery and symptoms are not bad. You think a doctor's going to say that? But a doctor that understands where the world's going, I would say an evolutionary doctor, a doctor that's worth checking out, will say, you know what? Everything that we've been taught is now reversed. Now we just got to help you manage the symptoms so you're not scared, and that will keep monitoring you as you are getting back on life. And if you have to have somebody with you to help you through the release process because you're going to be going through trauma, you'll be remembering things, you're going to feel pain in here, 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 and here. You have predisposed issues. Your parents went through this, and this is what you might come up against. I mean, a real good doctor, a real good nurse would take the fucking time, but they don't. They just give you something to cause more trauma, and then you think you're all good. You think a holistic professional gives a shit about you? No, they're making money off of them working off of demonizing the big pharma. Do you see how that shit works? Do you see how everyone got snowed in the holistic world? Back even around the J world? When they're selling you all their MLM supplements to you? Telling you this is the magic fucking pill? Oh yeah, major psychological manipulations. And so if you have the presence of mind, it's time they pay you to wean you onto life. Or pay whatever fees they will charge you to reverse everything they did to you. And then you never make the same mistake ever again. That when there is a new aggressive change in the environment, you don't take elderberry syrup. You don't take cannabis. You don't take NyQuil or Mucinex. You stay home. You stay safe. You cough and sneeze and blow your nose. You feed the energy. But again, you know how people are. They're so much in deficit and they already have issues that every sickness and every treatment will just compound their issues until they are too far gone. And that's what you're seeing all over Facebook. People are too far gone that they welcome a died suddenly. That's what is going on. And so let that be a lesson. The suffering to finally live and to have the life you really want. No fear of dying from natural causes. People do fear dying from natural causes. That's why they see doctors all the time. So someone says, I'm not afraid to die. Bull fucking shit. You wouldn't be at the hospital getting all these surgeries and getting all these different treatments and having someone do tests on you if you weren't afraid to die from natural causes. So I don't want to hear anyone pretend that they're not afraid to die, because let me tell you, they are. Or they wouldn't be seeing a doctor or wanting to be around people who are in the medical field or taking their herbs and cannabis and everything else. That's why they see doctors all the time, because they think doctors and nurses are saving them. They think holistic energy people are saving them. It's quite the opposite. Humans, it's time to take back your life from your own friends and family and society. But if you can't do it by yourself, ask a doctor to reverse all the curses. That's humanity coming full circle. You can blame Imhotep, right? The world's first doctor 6,000 years ago, chancellor to Pharaoh Dozer. Maybe right now is Moses parting the sea. We are in Exodus, and people are being set free, whether they're realizing they don't need half the crap that's out there, or they're dying suddenly. They're being set free. They're not suffering anymore. And so right now, it is Moses parting the sea. We are in Exodus, and we are also in the 10 plagues. Maybe it's time to set yourself free from the slavery. If you can't, now you have to pay someone to do it, to help you do it, assuming they will help you. And I don't know, we have many narcissistic, full of themselves doctors and nurses out there that will not do anything different than what they were trained to do. And even then, you don't have to do what you were trained to do. You could learn how to wean back onto food and salt and gluten and release the demons. Cut your nails. Tell people to cut their nails. They don't need to have long nails. But you know how again, superficial people want to look like, yeah, that's why some people are very temporary, because they're very superficial. It's all about image and looking hot and sexy. They don't care about survival, because it's not about that. It's about looking a certain way. And so if you can't, now you have to pay someone to help you do it, assuming they will help you. And it has to be from a doctor who gave you the curse to begin with. Maybe not the same doctor, but all doctors develop the same curses. They all cast the same spells. All of them do, because that's what they're trained to do. That's Rockefeller medicine and holistic medicine, casting spells on people, taking away their life force systematically. And when it's too sudden, when the life force take away too sudden from some kind of pill, powder, supplement, or detox, then they recall it and find another medicine that doesn't have the correlation equals causation. And then it becomes a cumulative effect. Because you know that's not the only thing the person is doing. They're not just doing that prescription drug. They're also doing supplements. They're also doing herbs and extracts and cannabis. And so it has to be from the doctor who gave you the curse to begin with. That's the game. That was always the solution. The cure and the solution came from the curse. Next time you'll know better. Good luck in convincing a doctor to finally reverse everything he ever did to you and said to you. That's why humans are trapped. If they can't do it on their own, it's very difficult to get the help they really need. And people don't, and the thing is that these doctors don't want to help someone like that, because they'll leave themselves open for not only malpractice, but then for other types of stuff. So then they have to either treat you and take away your life force and you get blamed anyways, or they have to walk away. And now maybe you'll see doctors realize they can't do anything. There's nothing they can do for people if they can't do it for themselves. So the only thing they can do is take away your life. That's the fucked up situation they're in. That's why if you know this now, realize it, it's time to get out of the industry, because it's not going to get any better. And people are going to wake up to that realization that all the different therapies and treatments are not going to work, especially during this climate change. And people are suffering astronomically, and nothing really is working. It might work for a minute, but then when the climate changes again, all that shit's coming back, but even more so. Because that demon inside that you've allowed to stay inside, that you've developed through all the surgeries, are going to redouble its efforts and take over your body some more, and people are going to be in so much more pain. That's what people are facing. That's what people don't realize, but they think the doctors and nurses are everything. That's why I can't stand worship. I can't stand religion. I really can't. I can't. Religion, politics, and scientific dogmas, religious stuff, worshiping and demonizing, is the bane of humanity. And so that's why you have to be intellectually and physically strong, because the system wants to destroy you. And your friends and family don't want to help you. But believe me, your friends and family attacked me. What do you think they'll do to you? They attacked me until they thought I was dead spiritually. So they will, instead of hating you like they hated me and wanted to destroy me, they will love you to death. Your friends and family, just watch them. Watch them. You say, I want to check out the Jilly Juice world. You'll see them attack me, and you'll see them attack you and tell you you're stupid. Why would you listen to some chick on Facebook? She's stupid. You see what happened on Dr. Phil? You see what they said to her? You see what they, Oh yeah, watch your friends talk smack about me. Watch your friends attack you for trying to change. That's what I'm saying. Change is the most dangerous game, and friends and family will not allow their friends and family to change, especially if they're dependent on you. Because if you changing, it might mean that they might not be able to get what they need. Well, that's where people don't realize that they have to be personally accountable for their own needs on some level and work together as a team if they're in a contractually binding situation. And so what will your friends and family do? They will love you to death. They will be in fear for you. They will guilt the fuck out of you and then tell you, I'm stupid. Jillian doesn't have a degree. She's not a fucking doctor. I never said I fucking was. She's a trauma victim. She's projecting. She's casting spells on you. They will tell you, I am Satan. Oh yeah, I know all the tricks of the system. Because the system taught the people to destroy themselves and their own friends and family. You were never supposed to evolve. You were supposed to be a slave. Okay? If you want to evolve, the system will make sure it's difficult. And you know how slow evolution is. The system will be slow to evolve. You have to be the one to determine your own evolution. It took me 7 years to get here, and I had minimal predisposed issues. I don't even have health insurance right now. I hadn't had health insurance since 2003 when I had Kaiser paying $300 a month for what? An analysis on my PMDD that I should take Prozac and go see a social therapist or sociologist or some therapist to talk about my feelings. When I realized what a racket that was, when I realized what a racket the medical system was, and the holistic system, I got the hell out. But I had to learn the hard way by getting into the holistic system and realize they weren't any different. They were using the same methodologies, but calling it something different. And so I would imagine it would take longer for many of you, if at all. Because remember, I've been home every fucking day for the last 3 years. For the most part. I haven't been socializing. I haven't been doing crap out there. I've been home for the last 3 years taking care of my stuff. So most of you out there haven't even given the time to yourself. And you're just discovering this. Just discovering how messed up the system is when it comes to life. How much of a curse was put on you and your family and your friends. How much your friends and family are trapped. And it sucks. The sufferings. That's why I have to stay home for the most part. It's hard for me to socialize knowing this. But what can you do? You can't save people. That's the reality. And so when they say save the children with what? Oncology, diets and starvation, voluntary surgeries, taking out organs, or even plastic surgery. You see the psychological programming even in movies when everything's about saving children. And then you'll see everyone become so radicalized in saving children, they will save them to death. If the system wanted to save the children, they wouldn't use oncology on your juvenile cells. So you have to understand the micro has everything to do with the macro. The micro is your juvenile cells. Cancer is juvenile cells. All the diseases are the immature cells that are out of control. That's what the Vampire Diaries and all the allegory we're talking about when it comes to children that are vampires. They don't know how to control their power. Children don't know how to control their power. They need a strong adult who won't cause more trauma to them to keep them in line and keep them on the straight and narrow. But that's the issues so these juvenile cells are out of control and the person is not releasing. So what do these juvenile cells do? They cause destruction. They wreak havoc in the system and you feel the energy. Just like when you're in a preschool and you see these kids zipping around the schoolyard, that's an autoimmune disorder. You're seeing all these juvenile cells playing ricochet rabbit pinball in the schoolyard to each other and also in your body. And so that's what cancer is when they finally get organized. They're not shooting off all, everywhere on your body. It's like an autoimmune disorder, like fibromyalgia and all that, right? So then you get cancers that become organized, they become an entity that then sucks the life out of you, sucks all the resources away from the main body. This is why people get surgical remedies by scooping out that trauma demon. But there's still some left. They don't get it all. And then the body is not releasing. The person takes on more of the demons. They don't release the demons. And then they have a different situation, or the same situation will metastasize and spread somewhere else because they don't know how to release. And going to get surgically stuff done and herbs and extracts and painkillers doesn't help anything. It makes the situation worse. So if the system wanted to save the children, they wouldn't use oncology on your juvenile cells, your evolution, your next life. They imhotepinize the children. They get them so mature at a young age and either sexualize them, which we see that in the population, or they get them into academia and they take what they need from the brain. And so now you see the split in our society. We have women that are very smart that are used, and men or boys and girls used for their brain in academia, SpaceX, NASA, Meta, Google, all that, right? Or you're seeing the girls and boys be used as playthings for somebody else. Look at OnlyFans. Look at Instagram. Look at all the influencers on YouTube showing off their body or finding a way to attack somebody else, right? So you see how the split in our society is. It's either you're a sexual plaything for somebody or you're going to be used for your mind and then thrown away when you're not useful anymore. And when you start changing, then you're not useful to them. They destroy your evolution because they wanted to program you. They wanted your programming for a specific time. And when that programming starts trying to change and evolve, that's when the system throws. That's what happened to the veterans. They get thrown away. They were used for all the wars, and then they're on the streets, they're homeless, they're trying to survive all the PTSD. And what does the system do? They let them sit on the streets. What do these hospitals do in veterans hospitals? They let them go and just destroy themselves. They don't really rehabilitate them because they can't. That's what's so messed up. that's what you have to understand, where humanity has been. And that's a hard pill to swallow, being used for at least 18 years and maybe a bit more than that. Used for 18 years to program you, and then maybe 20 years and 30 years for the programming to set and be used. And then when the program starts to glitch, then you're thrown away. You're retired. You're set out to pasture. Or you're in a canning factory, food for somebody else. Now the system is changing. Can you change with the system? Okay? And so the system wanted to save the children. They wouldn't use oncology on your juvenile cells or your evolution, your next life. The system would not encourage surgeries causing trauma. And you wouldn't be starving your children and giving them herbs and extracts to stop their evolution. The system is not about saving your children. No, not at all. Okay? Even parents are not saving their own children. Now you see the patterns if you understand physics, biology, and chemistry and social constructs. And so, I said a lot. Now watch that movie Vivarium on Netflix, because vivarium is a lab term for observing animals in their natural habitat. They're in an enclosure, and then scientists are observing their behaviors and how they deal with conflict. And so vivarium is a depiction of that, but in an allegory, in an entertainment way. And oh gosh, you just watch the movie. But it basically is showing you how they have programmed people to want families, to want children. And then the system observes the behaviors. They observe what the parents do. They observe the lifestyle. They observe the culture. They observe the environment. They observe even all the different diseases that family experiences. And so you're all basically, I've told you guys, you're all been lab rats. You're all being observed, not only on Facebook, but through your family doctor, through your environment, the authority. Like, it's like you are in a zoo, and you're being observed all the time. Okay? And so, so do I want to, oh, here we go. So yeah. All right. So vivarium is an enclosure to keep or raise and observing animals, especially for laboratory research. And the vivarium, the Netflix movie, a young couple is thinking about buying their starter home, and to this end, they visit a real estate agency where they were received by a strange sales agent who accompanies them to a new, mysterious, peculiar housing development to show them a single-family home. And they get trapped in a very surreal, maze-like existence, raising a child that's not theirs, raising a child that is basically alien to them, that requires so much reinforcement. And they are ruled by that out-of-control child that actually destroys them. Destroys the father first, because the father is digging, trying to get out of that surreal environment. He ends up digging his own grave, right? He's working out there in the backyard trying to find a way out, digging his own grave, and the mother is told that she is supposed to die. When that child grows up in that movie, the mother is told, yeah, you're not supposed to live, you're supposed to die. And then that child then goes back and replaces that sales agent. That sales agent dies from old age. And so what does that kid do? He takes the name tag off of that sales agent, puts it on himself, takes a body bag, puts that body, that dead body, in that sales office, because everything comes back full circle, comes right back to the sales office, and then he sits there and takes the place. And so you're all replaceable until you feel that you're not, and you respect your life. But you see how people think that their life is expendable. It's all about drugs, sex, and rock and roll, and that's it. And burying a bunch of babies and being an activist. They can't see anything past that. That's the temporary people. That's what I'm trying to get people in the J world to figure out. That's what your system is built on. Can you get yourself out of that deadly loop? Not everybody can, and that's the sadness. That's the sad part of it. Not everybody can, so you watch them destroy themselves out of existence. And so, yeah, concerts will be deadly because of frequency. 17 people were taken to the hospital because of heart attacks and strokes at a concert. and then the adenovirus, the obesity virus. What else? Climate change and the hives. I don't treat any hives. If people only knew, when they see how complex the stories are, how aggressive the religion is to keep people under the influence, how aggressive the drugs are to keep people unaware, the psychological programming. I can barely believe it myself, but everything is right in your face. Who wants to be the bearer of bad news? Only the people who've been rejected by those who don't ever understand, who have been hated by those uppity, cliquey, intolerant drones. Oh, I've met so many uppity, cliquey, intolerant drones. They don't like me, especially by the crunchy mothers who think they're God's gift to the world because they have a child. This knowledge is a gift to those who were rejected by society because they didn't play the same game and they knew something was wrong but couldn't put their finger on it. This information that I have is vindication for those who were rejected by their friends, their family, and society. This is my gift to you. And when you finally want to save yourself, you will be hated by your friends. Oh yeah, they will not like you. You'll be hated by your friends and family because they don't want you to change, and then you will see what it's like to be me in a society like this. People not liking you because you finally want to save yourself. And so this will be a challenge to the homogenized drones who are intolerant. Do you want to save yourself and finally step into my shoes? Or will you stay so self-righteous so you can never have to step in the shoes of somebody else? This is how the system will weed out the drones and the intolerant people, because you'll never fucking change until you decide to step in the shoes of somebody else. Take care of yourself. Literally and figuratively, take care of yourself. And so you want to know what it's like to be me? Adopt the J world and save yourself and see just how intolerant your friends and family are, and maybe even see what you have been for many, many years. Or do the same thing you've been doing and destroy yourself and your whole family. You only have two choices in this world: change, evolve, and save yourself, or take everyone down with you because you have too much pride. And pride is deadly, as you're seeing all over Facebook. And so if you're going to be anti-VAX, then you also need to question IVERT and then the mectins, cannabis, and every other remedy, drug, and holistic way. You can't promote one and not the other. It's an all or nothing thing. So if you have an issue with the VACCINESs, then you have to question the IVERT mectins. You have to question every anti-parasitic. You have to question every detox. You have to question everything in the holistic world. And if you can't do it, then your arguments hold no water. And so I talk about immature blood cells. You can read that. I mean, you can Google that. And so cancer is another name for offspring, like your children, as well as everything else you use. Remedies and surgeries against the life, that is what oncology is. Or people getting implants and disfiguring themselves. And then people starve themselves, developing food allergies, and they starve their own children and cause trauma to their own children. This is why I can't circulate in the mainstream too much. When you know this, it's horrific to witness. And people will hate you for this type of truth because it's too comfortable to be ignorant. Right? They don't want their life to change. I understand. Well, everything gets a return. I learned that in The Walking Dead. I hope you survive your own belief system, but don't fucking hate me. Hate the industry that told you this for many years. Hate the brainwashing for centuries. Why don't you go and blame the Egyptian pharaohs and chancellor 6,000 years ago? You have the ability to evolve, but you shit on evolution. People shit on evolution because it gets in the way of their life, their parties, and all their homogenized bullshit, making money, having a huge status, because you want everyone to worship you and think money is everything. You can't fucking eat money. And the suffering, the existential suffering, and then the blaming and the scapegoating. That's what happened in World War II. People were suffering, so what did? They blamed the Jews and everyone else that was different. That's where genocide comes from. Okay? At the hands of somebody specific who targets a specific person, place, or thing. So now everyone is equally going to have to fight for their own survival. There is no specific person being targeted. You have a chance to redirect. You have a chance to eat food and get off the allergy train and the fear of food train, the fear of symptoms train, and save yourself in this crazy ass climate change. And so with this knowledge, now you have the freedom to just enjoy your kids. You can't really save them, really, right? You can try, but you know how kids are. They must have it within them to save themselves. All you can do is just offer advice and representation and let the chips fall where they may. You did the best you can, mom and dad. Now save yourself and enjoy your life. It's literally out of your hands. The environment will determine who will survive and who will not. Your kids might have a chance if they already have a strong platform. And you won't know until it's too late. All right? But as you know, if you keep taking away your child's ability to evolve by giving them so many things in the medical holistic system, you will weaken their ability to evolve. And so then, yeah, you can't save them because you've given them all the things to give them absolution. Because you don't want things to change. You don't want to deal with their evolution. It's too hard for you, mom and dad. So it's easy to give them a pill. Go give them to a professional. Just give them up to the system. Yeah, parenting is not easy. Parenting is downright fucking hard. And so then you have to have your child be given to the system. And they do. People do give their children to the system through the medical holistic industry. That's what parenting is now allowing their kids to be human experiments. It's kind of sad. And so personal accountability will save you. So my last parting sentence of today. Yeah, right. Personal accountability will save you. The J rule is the gift of personal accountability so you can save yourself. The curse forced on you was absolution and blame. When you're looking for absolution and you're looking to blame, you will pass away. You will take others with you. Oh, and watch that. That's why the medical, holistic system and the energy healing world and pulse religion science exist, to destroy you with never taking personal accountability. Now you see how the world operates. So while you're telling everyone to look up at the sky as all the fucking chemtrails, no one is taking care of themselves. They're all too busy looking up. Oh, but then you're like, well, they're too busy looking down. Huh? Go figure. That's all the binary arguments you were forced into. That's all the activism. That's the deadly brainwashing. If you don't want people looking down, you want them to look up. But they never look within. That's the issue with the chemtrails world. That's the issue with all the activists. They're either looking up, down, all around, but they never look within. They are not introspective. I became more introspective as I dealt with my issues. I didn't want to be around all the riffraff and all the distractions and all the yammering of people who are suffering. I had to find a way to face all my own demons. And then you don't want to be around people a lot. And you don't see the value in family and friends when all they're doing is taking each other down. But hey, they're having a good time, right? You see them all over Facebook. Here, look at the food I'm eating. Oh, look, the place I went to. Oh, look, my kid is so cute. Yeah, okay. Until they're not. Great. If that's the extent of your existence is how your image looks on Facebook, you deserve whatever you get. You deserve whatever you get. Now you see how the world operates, which is why I don't subscribe to any religion, because you will never ever take personal accountability when you subscribe to religion. You will always find a Satan or a savior, and you will save everyone to death and then destroy someone else, helping the depopulation agenda. If that's your role and you are proud of it, stay away from me. I will not subscribe to your religion because you will inadvertently try to control me and convert me, and I can see you from a mile away. Okay? The people in my world are the people I can deal with. I can handle them and appreciate them even if they are in that belief system. But it still fucks me up inside watching and knowing the outcome of a lot of people. It sucks. That's why I don't like to hang out with people, because I know the outcome. I don't want to contribute to it. If anything, I want to give people a different way to do things if they want. God. It's a fucked up situation to be with. That's me releasing the demons, right? Bless you, right? Bless you. Release the evil spirit. God. But it's a fucked up situation to be with, but I can handle it. I don't love it, but I accept the reality. I don't want to change the people. I give them the information so they can change themselves if they want to. All right? And so people try to diagnose me as unstable or give me some kind of mental illness diagnosis. That's the medical system's absolution to cover up what they've done to the population by diagnosing someone and then treating them out of existence. And so dead men tell no tales. That's how it works. And so the Jilly Juice world is the force majeure. Me and John were going back and forth, and he was talking about, sovereignty in his world and his signature, took his signature back from the crown. Okay, I don't know all the UK laws. He knows that much better than I do. We have our own system here. I tried to follow that same ideology back in 2018 when someone was telling me how to become sovereign, and there's a way to sign your passport application in a way where you're not giving up your freedom or some shit and you're now a diplomat. So I filled out my application the way they said on this website about how to take your sovereignty back. And the passport office was like, what the fuck? And they gave me a passport. It didn't look any different. They're just like, what the hell is she doing? And so I looked at other passports and they were the same. There was no diplomatic status on my passport. It was just a regular passport. And so I'm like, what the hell? I don't take part in the medical system, so no one can take my sovereignty there. I pay my taxes because I need the protection because of stupid shit. So if I want to call the police because of something, at least I have that as a backup. I still protect myself. I pay taxes for the infrastructure. I pay taxes for just having to be on a land that is organized. Okay, so I don't play this game of I'm not going to pay taxes. I'm not going to pay this. I mean, I choose to have the internet. Okay, I choose to have the internet. I pay $100, $104 a month for the internet. I stream stuff and I watch stuff. And I pay for water and garbage and electricity and gas and all that, whatever it is that my utilities, my utilization, I pay for that because I live in a world that is organized. I'm not playing this, I'm going to be sovereign against, no, when I drive, I pay for insurance and I pay for whatever it is I gotta pay for to have a car. Okay, because that car is on a street. Even though the street may not be maintained 100% well, I mean, it's better than most. But yeah, there's potholes. But some cities, they have hardly anyone there, so there's potholes everywhere. But in my city, they fill up potholes. So I'll pay my taxes for that. And there's relative organization. And so I have no issue with paying taxes. I have no issue with anything. Okay? And I barely go out there, so I don't need to drive it. So we don't need 2 cars. I'm very minimal in my consumerism. People who are high consumers have the most issues because all they can do is fucking consume and put off an image and consume. I don't need to consume that much. There's no image I'm putting out there except hopefully you take your life back. I'm not selling you anything. If anything, I'm selling you life, but even then people have to go and figure out what fuck life is to them, right? I'm selling you my life doesn't mean you're going to buy it, but it's my life to sell. I'm not trying to sell you somebody else's life. I'm selling you my life, but it's my life to sell. And you don't have to buy it, all right? You can block and delete me and tune me out. All right, so we are force majeure because most people out there, actually all people out there besides the J world that really understand this, they are in a deadly contract that their friends and family have reinforced and the medical holistic system has reinforced. And so we are a force majeure. And so when we were talking about stuff back and forth, right? What's a force majeure? Unforeseeable circumstances that prevent someone from fulfilling a contract. The J world was an unforeseeable circumstance. We came into this world and we definitely shook up the world. The J world shook up the world. The world was in a contract of death. It was going to come up in 2019. The system knew it. And then we came in and said, okay, we are an unforeseeable circumstance that prevents someone from fulfilling their contract. Irresistible compulsion or greater force. Okay, what are examples of force majeure? Where did I learn this from? I don't know. I just said it. I just was saying that we're a force majeure because the word force, I don't know what the hell majeure was, but I Googled it, but I thought of it in my head. I don't know where it came from. I'm sure I heard it from somewhere. I don't know what context I heard it in, but I just said it. It just came out. And so what are examples of force majeure? Typical force majeure events include natural causes, right? Fire, storms, floods, governmental or societal actions, war, invasion, civil unrest, labor strikes, infrastructural failures, transportation, energy. And so I challenge your death contracts, mainstream media and alternative mainstream media. Well, we did. The J world, when we finally started evolving, we didn't stay stuck in the holistic world. We were a force majeure. We were challenging everything. And I was challenging even people next to me. They couldn't handle it. And so everyone had to leave each other because I would either cannibalize them or they would cannibalize me. And so now we're all in our respective places and we'll all figure out what life means to us. It's not for me to say what life means to them. And so life was not built on kindness and love. Life was built on the cold, harsh reality, the cold, harsh reality of how hard it is to survive. Then you earn a little bit of kindness and love. But when you live on kindness and love, no one is held to account. You need both. You don't want to reject someone who shows you the reality, and you don't want to reject kindness and love. And so you learn how to balance out the two, and you be kind to yourself and also face reality. But you don't need kindness and reality from other people. I really don't. Respect me, but I don't need your kindness. I don't need your love. You need it for yourself. So if you have to reject people who are real and kind, it means you need to start giving yourself the reality. Okay? The cold, harsh reality and the love when it's appropriate. Then you realize you don't need other people giving you the love and the kindness and the respect. I mean, that's just, that's just communal living and respect. But you don't need to give them the kindness and love. And so you really only need yourself to be whole. And so there's nothing to reject or embrace. And then you enjoy people for who they are and find those in your world who can anchor themselves, who are not always trying to reject someone's advances. They know how to convert the energy and be the balancing force. And so then you be example without projecting. Resistance is futile. No matter how much you try to block energy, you already absorbed it. Believe me, I can't get away from the death culture. So I convert it to life. Now you better convert it to your benefit, okay? But you know those who try to block energy, who say, oh, I'm going to renounce Satan, I'm going to renounce this. Okay, whatever. But you know those who try to block energy, they don't convert it to their belief, to their benefit. They absorb it and destroys them, and so they destroy the people around them. And so resistance is futile. And so I will continue to be me no matter what. And if I'm mean, hey, whatever, then block and delete me if you think I'm mean to you, right? So you will either kill people with kindness or you'll learn how to balance stuff out. All right? And so please don't kill me with kindness. People don't because they know it was wasteful energy. Now they have to survive. Sometimes the negative energy will encourage you to survive or you will kill yourself with kindness and love. But people know better than that with me. And so anyways, I love myself and all this other shit. So I don't block energy. I convert it. And so that's physics. Is energy conversion. So you don't block energy, you take energy and convert it. But people that try to block energy, now you see they're either way big because they're not allowing the energy to release the demons, or they're blocking energy of fulfillment. And so they become really, really skinny. They don't know how to convert it. That's how you know people who are resisting the environment is the fact that they have to block energy and they use spells and curses and they use it as gifts. And so anything, as far as the whole origination of COVID-19, it's all the algorithms. It's alpha, beta, delta, gamma, epsilon, whatever. COVID-19 is an algorithm. It is particle acceleration. You're not going to find the origination because we all have COVID-19. We all have the demons within. We all have the diseases that were put to sleep for many years, and then the environment shifted and causes those demons to wake up and release the demons, and then you're communicable. That's what COVID-19 is. So you'll never find, that's why you'll never find the confirmation it came from Wuhan. So then Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates were used as a scapegoat. Because the reason why they had the patent is because they already knew people had this shit in them. It was going to come to surface. There was going to be a pandemic. How they knew, I don't fucking know. But a V does not cause a pandemic. You get a V, someone's communicable, it usually stays in one little area. But when you have a huge climate shift, that develops a major pandemic. And then people release the demons, and then new disease, not new, but old diseases and even new ones because of all the hybridization, the protein docking from people exchanging particles with each other. Then they have to develop a new V, a new vaccine. So they're not poison. You already have it within you. But when people are that compromised, the system says, okay, well, here, we'll give you a little helper. But when we have so much climate change, it's not going to matter what you do, regardless, whether you get a V or not get a V, you get when you get any kind of remedy, surgery, or anything to try to alleviate the symptoms, it's only going to be very short-lived because the environment is that volatile. I've been dealing with these changes for the last 3 years. It's getting manageable. Do you hear me coughing and sneezing? I sneeze, yes, but you hear me coughing and feeling stuffed up? Oh, I have the hives every so often, and I itch, different places, and little bumps that look like bug bites, but they're not bugs. It's just growth that is working through the system. And I don't try to stop it. I don't treat it. I don't do anything except feed it and rest and deal with the heart palpitations. I don't mischaracterize any energy, and I don't diagnose myself, or I don't diagnose anyone else, really, when you think about it. When people have lumps and bumps and things like that, it's because they have so much accumulation of white blood cells. And you can call them whatever disease you want relative to where these white blood cells reside and what kind of energy is emitting from that person. Okay? And so, I will not cast a spell of diagnosis on myself or anyone else. And that's where people have to realize that they cast spells on themselves. You can't tell them that because, remember, they're too entrenched. Okay. And so when you're in the health and wellness world, eventually you will become a patsy. You will be the blame. And so, so there's that. And And so I figured out the legal solution. Ask the doctors to reverse everything they ever did to you. Ask the doctor. And so, yeah, it's time for the doctors and nurses to fix this. It's your duty. If you can't fix this, then get out of the industry. But hey, I mean, you really think you're helping people leave this world easier? They're still suffering. But who's going to be there and help them? Yeah, you're in a fucked situation. I wouldn't want to be in your situation. I would not want to be in your situation. That's why I walk away from society, because no matter what, when you're babysitting people who are declining, whether it's voluntarily and you're not getting paid for it because it's your friends and family, or you're getting paid to voluntarily babysit people on their way out the door, it's not any better. Okay? You're fucked either way until you learn how to walk away, because you will suffer astronomically watching animals suffer in this environment, watching people suffer, watching children suffer, and then you realize it's better just to be home on your own because you don't want to watch people suffer. It's because you can't help them. You really can't. You cannot help them. And so if you can't fix this, then get out of the industry, because it's not going to get any better, and you're destroying yourself in the meantime trying to save people who can't be saved, and you're not making them more comfortable, because life is painful, especially when it's on its last legs. So if you're going to be in pain, you might as well make it work for you, but people don't. So you pray for it dies suddenly so they're not suffering. That's the situation we're in. And it's going to get even more, it's going to get even more so. It's going to get even worse. Oh, it will. Prepare yourself. I've been preparing this for 7 years and didn't even know it. But subconsciously, I've been preparing for the last 49 years how to survive this next world. I guess I have some kind of, I'm an old soul, I suppose. I've been here before. I just don't know when. I don't have that memory. All right. And so, oh yeah. Why are people afraid of germs? Because of germline cells, afraid to be possessed, because they don't know how strong the possession might be. But if you can't condition yourself to assimilate to potential possession, you'll try to resist, and it's futile. Resisting evolution will make you weaker. And so those two orbs this last time, the last few days, weeks, whatever, they tried to possess me, and they did get in. But not only did I fight them off, so they don't possess me completely, but I also assimilated to the environment. And so it has given me not only intellectual capability, but also more intelligence. And I keep feeding the energy. Every single time I get sick, I get a new awareness. And now I finally figured it all. I put it all together. Doctors need to be the one to reverse this situation. Nurses need to encourage the doctors to start taking on new information and evolve. Patients need to ask their doctors and nurses not to give them any more surgeries and antibiotics if they want to live, if they want to change the system. But again, we're coming full circle. And so now it's back in the hands of the doctors. You're the ones that are causing all this death and destruction. And I know the train has left the station. Most people cannot. But there'll be half society that will want to have a doctor help them wean them back onto life. And there'll be other half society that they're too far gone and they hope they get some kind of comfort on their way out the door. And that's going to be the fight with doctors within themselves. Helping people die or helping people live. No matter what, you're setting yourself up for some major suffering. There's suffering on both ends. But you chose that profession. You chose to be in that profession. It's time to evolve. And if you can't evolve, okay, fine. But now I know how to work within the system. Reverse the spell, nurses and doctors. And patients figure out how to ask for your life back. Bye.